Hello, I'm David Groninger in Seattle, Washington, and the title of this talk is How to Put First Things First. How to put first things first. In other words, how to get the priorities into your life. And the easiest way that I remember to do this, or to be mindful of it, is I think of just two numbers. I call it the 1-2. And it goes like this. The 1 refers to the primary thing, the principle, the law, some fundamental, some basic, important part of life. The 2 means 2 million, and that means 2 million benefits, advantages, 2 million positive consequences as a result of putting this one component, one fundamental thing in place in life. For example, let's say good physical health. That's a fundamental for just about any kind of success in life. Now, when you put attention on good health, you continually build on this principle, manage this principle, learn about how to put good health into your life, and you'll have many, many advantages. More energy. Life is more fun. You can work longer hours, get paid more money because you can work longer. You might be more aware, more alert. All kinds of excellent things, fewer doctor bills. You might live longer. All kinds of positive things. So it goes 1-2. 1 is the principle. And by the way, the word principle comes from the Latin word primus, which means first or first cause. So when you think about a first cause and all the effects, the rippling effects down the road, from continuing to reinforce, continue to energize, continue to build on this first cause. And that's why, that's what helps me keep in mind principles. Now I mentioned one as health. So imagine now that you knock out that principle, or you're neglectful to put that in. So you do not have that basic in on good health. Now I call it also the 1 to 2 million, but now it's 2 million disadvantages, 2 million ill consequences, 2 million things happening in life that you don't want. And I don't really mean literally 2 million, I just mean it could be a lot. The idea is that if you don't have a fundamental in your life, like good health is one. How about the habit of saving money? How about getting along with people, good people skills? If you don't have these fundamentals in place, then so many things can happen. Like, how about people skills, for example? If you're not committed to learning about people, to learning about yourself, the ability to get along with others, the ability to get along with yourself, think of how many bad consequences or disadvantages happen that then you spend all your time dealing with. You're dealing with all of the noise, confusion, the consequences from not having the fundamental in the first place. On the other hand, again, think about the 1-2. Put in the 1 and you'll get 2 million benefits. Learn a lot about how to get along with people. Really develop good people skills, and you'll have so many advantages. It'll be easier to get along at work, easier in your home life, easier when you're by yourself. You'll have less stress. You'll be more effective in cooperating with people and getting good results for other people and for yourself. All manner of good things will happen for you when you have, good people skills. And one of the things that I do to be mindful of these fundamentals of life is I call them the pillars of the Parthenon, because a pillar is something that supports something else. Now, you might not be able to see this from the camera here, and this is of course a very crude picture, but if this is like the Parthenon and these are pillars, on one of them I wrote physical health. On another one I wrote mental health. The other one I wrote emotional health. The other one I wrote your work, particularly a labor of love. And another one down here I wrote people skills. and down there I wrote money management. So this is a little chart that I have, and when you identify the fundamentals, identify the principles that work in your life, the basic things, putting first things first, the priorities, then you construct a diagram like this to be mindful of it. And as situations change, time change, certain principles or certain fundamentals in life will take on greater or lesser importance in time. But a lot of these things are fundamental throughout one's lifetime. Take the idea of saving money. Like, just for example, let's say if you make $800 a week in a paycheck, and if you continually save 10%, that's $80 a week that you're saving. Well, think about how much money you'll have after 40 years of working for that. Now, this is just a principle. I calculated it that you'll have, over $150,000 if you just save that $80 a week. And if you count how much that can grow in interest and returns over a 40-year period of time, it could easily be $500,000 to $1 million. So here's an example of the habit of saving money. Now, this is a principle so that when you have this in place and you build on it, you watch it carefully, you make sure that's the first money that comes off your paycheck, and you don't spend that money, you invest it, save it. Think about all the advantages that come when you're saving money. You'll have more money at retirement. You'll have less stress if something goes wrong and you need some money. And you'll just have more choices in case you lose your job. You can spend a little bit more time looking for another job. You don't have to take the first thing that comes, even if you might not like it, etc. Now, look at the disadvantages of not saving money. Now we're going to the 1 and 2 million problems. Take somebody who doesn't save any money. Without that principle in place, consider all of the disadvantages, the problems, and then dealing with all these problems. What if your car breaks down? Then you have to borrow money. Then you have to pay back interest on that. And then how can you save more money when you're paying back this? And what about worry about losing your job because you don't have any money saved? And what about if you do lose a job or get laid off or something and you don't have money saved? Then what? Then you have to take out a loan perhaps, and now you're paying interest on that as well. All kinds of things can happen. And what about worrying about retirement and Social Security? What if, for example, at your job they don't pay retirement benefits? All you have is Social Security. And what if now you're worried that Social Security might not pay as high as you think it will pay? And if you're not saving any money, think about carrying that anxiety or concern all through your life. These are some of the disadvantages of not having the benefit in. And one of the ways that I remind myself to put first things first is that I have a daily checklist. You can't see it, the details from here, but this is just a checklist of things I do. For example, one of them says here to have 8 glasses of water a day. So here's the thing. When I call it the 1-2, think of the advantages of drinking enough water. And I don't allow myself to drink anything else until I have those 8 glasses of water in, which takes the whole day, so that means I can't drink anything else. Well, that means I don't drink coffee, because I have to drink the 8 glasses of water first. It means I don't drink soda pop, because the 8 glasses of water first. It's the first things first. Also, on my daily checklist, I have 30 minutes of exercise. Now, each day I make sure I get 30 minutes of exercise. I also include some stretching exercises and some bodybuilding exercises, muscle toning exercises as well. Now, imagine a lifetime of doing these things. Now, these are my first things first. I have to do these things, very regularly, every day. And I don't do other things before I do these things. Or if I have to go to work, as soon as I come home or on a break from work, I'll certainly do some of these things. So one of the ways to remind yourself to put first things first, I mentioned to you the pillars the pillars of the Parthenon. Make a little picture of a temple or a Parthenon, and write in the fundamentals that you want to put in your life. And then the other way is to use a daily checklist and include like the things you have to do, your to-do list, but include on your to-do list having the fundamentals in place. For example, on a weekly to-do list, if you get paid once a week, certainly saving money, saving the first part of your paycheck, 10%, 20%, whatever you'd like to save from that, have that as a regular thing. Now, some of the outstanding books that can teach about outstanding principles to put as in place in life, one of them is Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I copied down some of these habits. One of them is be proactive. Another one is begin with the end in mind. It's start something with the idea of how you want it to look at the end. And of course, putting first things first, that's one of his principles he talks about. Think win-win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And then synergize, have teamwork in the way you do things. Then the 7th habit is sharpen the saw, or become more effective in how you do things. Increase your ability to be causative. Increase your ability to earn. Increase your ability to be productive and effective. So that's an example of 7 habits. Now the ones I use that I find are very effective are physical health, mental health, emotional health. And what I mean by mental health, emotional health is mental well-being, emotional well-being, and of course the physical health, physical well-being. And these are very active principles in my life. I manage these, I build on them. I ask myself, how am I doing emotionally? How am I doing in my thinking? Am I thinking with clarity of mind? Am I coming to the kinds of conclusions and decisions in my thought process, in my paradigms, in my perspectives on life? Am I looking at life in a way that allows me to be happiest? Things like this. This is like how we manage our beliefs or thinking. In the physical health, again, it's a very active management. As I showed you on my daily checklist, exercise and healthy diet. In fact, the first thing I eat every day are leafy green vegetables, because I read that they're extremely healthy. And and getting enough rest also. Getting enough rest is on my checklist too. And if I didn't, to compensate by taking a few naps throughout the day in order to assure that rest is somehow taken care of. So in putting first things first, I've given you 2 ideas. One is to make a diagram like the Parthenon, or any kind of a temple like the White House or the Capitol building, where you have pillars. And on these pillars, you label them, whatever the fundamental is. And keep this in mind too. Keep in mind the 1, 2. The 1 means a principle, and remember it comes from the Latin word primus, which means first. So when you think about the first things first, think about you're putting in a principle first, a basic law such that when that law is respected and put in place and observed, a whole bunch of other positive things are going to happen. And when you are neglectful of that basic thing, then you're opening the door for all kinds of weaknesses in life. And it can become like an upward spiral or a dwindling spiral. For example, on the saving money, when every single week you're saving part of your paycheck, it's an upward spiral, because pretty soon your money is making money for you. And now in addition to making a wage at your job, pretty soon you're making a wage from your investments. And there actually comes a time when you're making more, well, there can certainly be a time when you're making more from your investments than you're making just from your job. And this is like an upward spiral of financial strength, for example. Then of course you have the downward spiral of not saving any money, and now you have to borrow money, for example, if you did, and then you're paying interest on that, and now you're going down, you're losing money, or you're making it very difficult on yourself. And then this kind of difficulty might cause more stress, and the stress it could lead to feeling tired and becoming less effective, which means now you're doing a poorer job at work, all kinds of things. So keep in mind the 1-2. The 1 means the principle, putting something fundamental in place in your life, and you don't put it there once, you build on it regularly. Every day I examine the pillars of my Parthenon, and I examine the structure for my own success. And I ask myself, how am I doing on this? And I build on it. I'm continually reinforcing it, building on it. And because of the fundamental, the first thing, you have 2 million benefits, 2 million positive things, good things, advantages. Be neglectful of the fundamental. Don't put attention on it. Don't manage it. Don't write it down. Try, just to wing it every day. Have no sense of a state of structure or organization or any kind of a cause and effect relationships in life, and particularly basic causes. Then you're opening the door to 2 million disadvantages. So that's basically the talk. 2 other outstanding books that discuss principles, by the way, are, one of them here is The Richest Man in Babylon, and this is a book that talks about financial principles. You could make a diagram of this Parthenon, and you could put the 7 basic money management principles on there, and definitely increase your chance of doing better monetarily. Now, on this book called The Law of Success, there are about 15 different fundamental principles that are talked about in this book, and this is a great way to study about which principles you might want to put more attention on. Things like self-control, accurate thinking, concentration, imagination, the habit of doing more than is paid for, the habit of saving, self-confidence, having a definite purpose in life and knowing what that purpose is. So whether you identify the fundamentals from books, whether you identify it from working with a success coach or a life coach, whether you identify it by keeping a journal and discover which fundamental things, such that when they are in place in your life, a whole bunch of other good things tend to result from it, and such that when they drop out, what are you noticing that might be disadvantageous? One way to identify when a fundamental is missing in your life, that is when you're not putting a first thing first, is if you have a whole bunch of problems, difficulties, stresses, all in one area of life, in the area of relationships, in the area of your health, in the area of the work you do, or financial, then look to find out what is the principle that applies here. And is this principle in place in your life or isn't it? And do what you can to start building on that and see if that principle, which remember comes from primus, which means basic cause, see if that basic cause is now producing the effects that are more consistent with the effects that you'd like. So this is David Groninger saying thank you very much. And again, this talk is called How to Put First Things First. And I'll conclude with a quote by the German philosopher Goethe, who said, "We must not put at the mercy of the, that which is most important must not be placed at the mercy of that which is least important." In a way, that's saying you want to major in the majors. You don't want to major in the minors. And you don't want to minor in the majors. You want to major in the majors. That means the most important things in life, the things which contribute to most other things working well in your life, these are the things where you want to devote your more of your resources, time, education, consideration, management. Major in the majors is another way of saying first things first. And remember, the easy way that I say it is the 1-2. If you have the one in, you're going to have 2 million benefits, and life sure is fun and easy. And the main work in life is then just continuing to reinforce, to build and make stronger and grow that fundamental. And remember the 1-2 in the converse way, that if that fundamental is missing, or if you're neglecting it, then you could have 2 million problems, difficulties, hassles in life. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk on how to put first things first, and I hope that I've been able to offer a few ideas that might be useful to you in your ability to put first things first, so that you can have a life that has a powerful and successful structure to it. This is David Groninger in Seattle saying thank you.